Welcome to Prime News. Headline first. Horror on Oslo Pride Day as gunman goes on deadly rampage at gay bar. More protests expected this weekend amid fury and anguish over Roe v. Wade reversal. Wordle 371 hints for June 25th, struggling with today's Wordle. These clues should help. French President Macron, abortion is a fundamental right for women. Germany pushes for G7 reversal on fossil fuels and climate blow. Horror on Oslo Pride Day as gunman goes on deadly rampage at gay bar. Oslo, June 25th. Terrified revelers at a gay bar in Oslo hid in a basement and desperately called loved ones as a gunman went on the rampage, killing 2 people and injuring 21 on the day the city was due to celebrate its annual Pride Parade. Authorities said the suspect, a 42-year-old Norwegian citizen of Iranian origin, was believed to be a radicalized Islamist with a history of mental illness who had been known to intelligence services since 2015. The attack took place in the early hours of Saturday, with victims shot inside and outside the London pub, a long-standing hub of Oslo's LGBTQ scene, as well as in the surrounding streets and at one other bar in the center of the Norwegian capital. The deceased were 2 men in their 50s and 60s, police said in a statement. Everything indicates that this has been an attack by an Islamist extremist, Norway's Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre told a news conference. We don't know if the queer community was the intended target, but we know it is a victim, he said. Billy Blum Jansen, who was in the London pub, said he fled to the basement to escape the hail of bullets and hid there along with 80 to 100 other people. Many called their partners and family. It felt almost as if they were saying goodbye. Others helped calm down those who were extremely terrified, he told TV2. I had a bit of panic and thought that if the shooter or shooters were to arrive, we'd all be dead. There was no way out. Rainbow flags symbolizing the Pride community were on prominent display across Oslo this week, but said his planned parade was cancelled at the advice of police. Last night the rainbow was colored black, said Annette Trettebergstuen, Norway's Minister of Culture and Equality and herself a prominent campaigner for LGBTQ rights. While the official parade was called off, several thousand people held a spontaneous march in central Oslo, waving rainbow flags and chanting in English, "We're here, we're queer, we won't disappear." The suspect was detained minutes after embarking on the shooting spree, according to police who said they believed he acted alone. 2 weapons, including a fully automatic gun, were retrieved from the crime scene, they added. Other witnesses described the chaos that erupted inside and outside the London pub, which has been open since 1979. Many people were crying and screaming, the injured were screaming, people were distressed and scared, very, very scared, said Marcus Nybakken, 46, who had left the bar shortly before the shooting and returned later to help. My first thought was that Pride was the target, so that's frightening. Journalist Olav Roneberg of public broadcaster NRK said he was in the area at the time and saw a man arrive with a bag, take out a gun and start to shoot. Then I saw windows breaking and understood that I had to take cover. It was not clear exactly where the 2 people were killed in the area of the London pub.
More protests expected this weekend amid fury and anguish over Roe v. Wade reversal. The seismic ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court to eliminate the federal constitutional right to an abortion has roiled the country, fueling protests that began Friday and are expected to extend throughout the weekend. Loud and angry demonstrations by abortion rights advocates were held in several cities on Friday, hours after the court overturned the 1973 ruling known as Roe v. Wade. There are also smaller gatherings of people who welcomed the ruling. More demonstrations are expected on Saturday and Sunday, according to abortion rights advocates. They're planned across cities big and small in New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania, in addition to Wisconsin, Illinois, Texas, New Mexico, and California, plus many others. In Phoenix, law enforcement used tear gas late Friday to disperse a crowd of abortion rights supporters after they repeatedly pounded on the glass doors of the state Senate building. Arizona Department of Public Safety spokesperson Bart Graves told CNN. As news of the ruling emerged Friday morning, abortion rights advocates and opponents also gathered outside the Supreme Court in Washington, D.C. One man, standing amid placards including the messages "Roe is dead" and "I am the post-Roe generation," sprayed champagne in the air above others who were celebrating. In New York City, many demonstrators gathered in Washington Square Park to protest the ruling, even though New York state law will remain in place to protect abortion rights. Julia Kaluta was one of the many abortion rights advocates there. It's like seeing the train coming toward you, Kaluta, who received the news on her 24th birthday, told CNN, and you finally get hit by it. And it still hurts more than you ever thought. There were some anti-abortion activists on hand, but they kept a low profile, and there were no confrontations seen by the CNN crew walking with the protesters. At least 20 people in the city were taken into custody with charges pending, after demonstrators marched in protest of the decision. According to the New York Police Department, officers apprehended the individuals within the vicinity of Bryant Park, West 42nd Street and 6th Avenue. A NYPD spokesperson told CNN Saturday morning. No further details were provided on the arrests. In New York City, many demonstrators gathered in Washington Square Park to protest the ruling, even though New York state law will remain in place to protect abortion rights. Julia Kaluta was one of the many abortion rights advocates there. It's like seeing the train coming toward you, Kaluta, who received the news on her 24th birthday, told CNN, and you finally get hit by it. And it still hurts more than you ever thought. There were some anti-abortion activists on hand, but they kept a low profile, and there were no confrontations seen by the CNN crew walking with the protesters. At least 20 people in the city were taken into custody with charges pending, after demonstrators marched in protest of the decision, according to the New York Police Department.
Wordle 371 hints for June 25th. Struggling with today's Wordle. These clues should help. It's hard to believe, but Wordle fans are currently working their way through puzzle 371. And far from getting any easier, it seems the higher the number, the harder these Wordle puzzles are starting to get. Fortunately, Express Online is back with yet more clues to help hardcore Wordle fans figure out the answer. Indeed, if you're struggling with Wordle 371 for June 25th, then head to the bottom of the page for a selection of spoiler-free hints and clues. Good luck. The word game that has been copied more times than the school boffin, Wordle is ideal for when you have 10 minutes to spare and need to relax. The aim of the game is to figure out a 5-letter word in just 6 guesses. To do so, you'll need to use the process of elimination to rule out different letters. If, for example, a letter tile turns gray after one of your guesses, you can deduce that this particular letter doesn't feature in today's word. If a tile turns yellow, then the letter is in the word, just not in the right place, while a green tile means the letter is in the word and in the correct position. The aim is to solve each puzzle in as few guesses as possible. You can then share your progress on social media, showing friends, family, and random followers exactly how brainy you are.
French President Macron. Abortion is a fundamental right for women. Paris, June 24. French President Emmanuel Macron said on Friday that abortion was a fundamental right for women, as he reacted to the U.S. Supreme Court decision earlier to overturn the landmark 1973 Roe v. Wade ruling on abortion. Abortion is a fundamental right for all women. We must protect it. I would like to express my solidarity with all those women whose freedoms have today been compromised by the U.S. Supreme Court, wrote Macron on his Twitter account. The U.S. Supreme Court on Friday took the dramatic step of overturning the landmark 1973 Roe v. Wade ruling that recognized a woman's constitutional right to an abortion and legalized it nationwide, handing a momentous victory to Republicans and religious conservatives who want to limit or ban the procedure.
Germany pushes for G7 reversal on fossil fuels and climate blow. Germany is pushing for a group of 7 nations to walk back a commitment that would halt the financing of overseas fossil fuel projects by the end of the year. According to people familiar with the matter, that would be a major reversal on tackling climate change as Russia's war in Ukraine upends access to energy supplies. A draft text shared with Bloomberg would see the G7 acknowledge that publicly supported investment in the gas sector is necessary as a temporary response to the current energy crisis. The caveat in the proposal is that such funding is done in a manner consistent with our climate objectives and without creating lock-in effects. The text remains under debate and could change before G7 leaders hold their summit in the Bavarian Alps starting Sunday, hosted by Chancellor Olaf Scholz. The UK opposes the proposal, 2 of the people said. A German government spokesman declined to comment.